Hello students, hope you all are fit and fine. Today I Archana Gupta, your geography teacher, will be teaching lesson 11, that is water resources. Topics to be covered in this chapter are sources of water, need for conservation, irrigation, its importance and methods. Now let us start with the topic sources of water. We have two sources of water, surface water and groundwater. Now what is surface water? Water on the surface of the land in the form of streams, ponds, lakes, tanks and rivers is known as surface water. Second, groundwater. What is groundwater? The water which gets collected under the surface of the land is known as groundwater, which remain in the subsoil or the bedrock. Next, we come to need to conserve water. In today's time, we do need to conserve water. But why? There are different reasons for conservation of water. As you can see on the screen, we have mentioned 5 points. That is overexploitation, loss of vegetation, use for irrigation, water scarcity due to population and polluted water. Now let us discuss each and every point in detail. First point, overexploitation. Now overexploitation of underground water results in the lowering of water table, which as a result leads to drying of your wells or less availability of your groundwater. Then second, we have loss of vegetation. Loss of vegetation causes drought and reduction of rainfall and again lowering of your water table. Third point, irrigation. In irrigation, we utilizes more than 90% of the fresh water, again which leads to the need for conservation of water, as for irrigation most of the fresh water is used. Next we have water scarcity occurs due to increase in population. More the population, more is the need of more, or you can say more is the demand for water. And the last point is your polluted water. Water resources such as rivers, underground water, lake, etc. are polluted, whose water cannot be used without proper treatment. Next, let us discuss the conservation practices. We have rainwater harvesting and watershed management. Rainwater harvesting means collecting and storing rainwater for harvesting surface and groundwater, preventing of losses through evaporation and seepage. People harvested rainwater by collecting water from rooftops and storing it in tanks built in their courtyards. From open lands, water was collected in artificial wells. They harvested rainwater runoff by collecting water from swollen streams during the monsoon season and storing it in water bodies. They harvested water from flooded rivers. In India, we need water harvesting because of acute shortage of water, as we have not cared to conserve water or rationalize its use. This is because rainfall in India occurs in short spells of high intensity. Due to this, most of the rain falling on the surface tends to flow rapidly, leaving very little for the recharge of groundwater, making most parts of India experience lack of water even for domestic use. Second is your watershed management. Watershed management refers to the efficient management and conservation of both the surface and groundwater resources. It includes prevention of runoff as well as storage and recharge of groundwater by various methods. Irrigation refers to the process of watering of agricultural plants through artificial means from wells, tanks, tube wells, channels, etc. In India, it is practiced due to, first of all, uncertainty of rainfall, secondly, uneven distribution of rainfall, third, crop requirement, fourth, nature of soil, fifth, to utilize river water efficiently, and the last, to maximize production. Now, let us discuss each and every point in detail. The first point is uncertainty of rainfall. The rainfall in India is highly irregular in place and time. That is, normal rainfall is marked by wide fluctuations in different parts of the country. Sometimes the monsoon arrives early and at times it comes late. The second point, uneven distribution of rainfall. In India, the distribution of rainfall is quite uneven. Most parts of the country receive 80% of the annual rainfall from June to September from the southwest monsoon. Next, crop requirement. In India, different types of crops are grown in different seasons. Different crops require different quantities of water for their growth. Next point is nature of the soil. The water requirement of different crops depends on the nature of the soil. For example, clay soils have higher moisture holding capacity and therefore require less irrigation. On the other hand, the sandy loam have less moisture retentive capacity and need frequent watering. Next point is to utilize river water effectively. Many rivers in India are not perennial and carry insignificant flows. The rivers of central and southern India have water for the 4 months and of monsoon rains and remains largely dry during the 8 months of the year. Therefore, to effectively utilize the water of these rivers, means of irrigation has to be used. The last point is to maximize production. To obtain maximum production, irrigation is a must. In India, we practice different means of irrigation. Based on the availability of surface and groundwater, relief, soil and climatic condition, different means of irrigation are utilized in India. The conventional means of irrigation include wells, tanks and inundation canals. The modern methods include tube wells, perennial canals, drip irrigation, etc. Now let us come to the first means, which is wells. A well is a hole dug in the surface of the earth to obtain water from the subsoil for irrigation and other purpose. It is a cheap, simple and dependable source of irrigation and is practiced in areas where plenty of groundwater is available and depth of the water table does not exceed 15 meters. The areas where wells are found in India are: it is confined to areas of alluvial plains where, due to soft nature of soil, wells can easily be dug. It is practiced in Uttar Pradesh, Goa, Haryana, Bihar, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Now let me explain you the advantages and disadvantages of well irrigation. First of all, advantages. First, wells can be constructed at a very low cost. No extra money is needed, no machinery is needed, only digging is there. So therefore the cost of construction of a well is very low. Secondly, the oxen which is used for plowing can be used for drawing water from the wells at no extra cost. Third, pumps and tube wells can be used for lifting water from great depths. Now let us come to the disadvantages of well irrigation. Wells depend upon underground water table which varies from place to place. Secondly, it is difficult to dig wells in hilly areas and stony areas. Thirdly, traditional wells dry up due to over withdrawal of water. And lastly, running tube wells is costly for the farmers as it requires electricity. Tube wells. It is a deeper well at a depth of 20 to 30 meters from which water is lifted up with the help of power driven pumps to be used by man. It is also known as lift method. The ideal conditions for the drilling of a tube well are availability of plentiful water at great depths, level land and soft soil for the tube wells to be set up, large fertile area in its surrounding areas to be irrigated, and availability of regular cheap electricity to run the tube wells. The main area where tube wells are used include the northern plains in the states of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. Now let us discuss the advantages and disadvantages of tube well irrigation. As for tube well, all of you must have seen in your villages, in the fields, which is the most common source of irrigation. So these advantages, it is an independent source of irrigation. Second, it brings up clean water. It can irrigate large area of agricultural land. It is easier to bring up large amount of water in short time period. It is a perennial means of irrigation as it is drilled up to a permanent water table. Next, we have the disadvantages of tube well irrigation. Firstly, excessive use of tube well water can lead to depletion of groundwater. Secondly, it is useless if the water is brackish, means if the water contains salts. Third, it is expensive as it requires continuous supply of electricity. Canals. India has one of the world's largest canal systems stretching over more than 1 lakh kilometers. The irrigation canals are of two types. First, inundation canals. These canals are taken out directly from the rivers without constructing any barrage or dam. Such canals use the excessive water of rivers at the time of floods and remain operational during rainy season. Second, we have perennial canals. These canals are taken out from the perennial rivers by constructing barrages or dams to regulate the flow of water. They can draw water throughout the year and irrigate large areas. Now students, please note down the areas where canal irrigation is practiced. It is practiced in Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, Assam and Tripura. Now, advantages and disadvantages of canal irrigation. First, advantages. The rainfall deficiency in some areas is made up by canals taken out from the perennial rivers. Perennial rivers means the rivers which flow throughout the year. Second, in arid areas like Rajasthan, canals have proved to be a boon, as a result of which sandy patches are yielding good agricultural harvest. Canal irrigation has enabled Punjab and Haryana to be called the granary of the country and nucleus of the Green Revolution. Now, disadvantages. At some places where the perennial unlined canals flow at the ground level and between raised high banks, the water table may reach the surface and make the once cultivable soil completely waterlogged. Complete saturation of the soil with water may give rise to swamps. Secondly, in the canal irrigation, where the water table is a few feet below the ground, the alkaline salts come to the surface, mix with the soil and make it unproductive. Thirdly, due to waterlogging, the capacity of soil to absorb water decreases. Tanks. Tank refers to a small bunch of earth or stones built across a stream to impound water, which is then led through narrow channels to the cultivated fields. Tanks constitute a special feature of irrigation in the Deccan because of the following reasons. Firstly, the rivers of the Deccan are not snow-fed and are mainly dependent on the rainwater. Secondly, there are many streams which become torrential during the rainy season but dry up when the rain ceases. Third, the hard rocks in the area do not suck up water, so wells also cannot be made there, but the tanks can be easily made. Fourthly, the terrain of the Deccan Plateau is very uneven, with many natural depressions where tanks can be easily built. The areas where tanks are found are Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Tamil Nadu, along with West Bengal and Rajasthan. For your better understanding, a picture of tank has been attached within. Advantages of tank irrigation. In the uneven rocky plateau of Peninsular India, where rainfall is highly seasonal, tank irrigation is useful. In the last stretches of the Indian plateau, due to hard rocky terrain, wells and canals are difficult to construct, so only tank irrigation is feasible. Thirdly, tank irrigation is highly significant in storing the abundant rainwater that would otherwise flow out and go waste. Now let us come to the disadvantages of tank irrigation. Firstly, tanks get silted up soon and regular desilting is required. Secondly, when the monsoon fails, these tanks go dry and therefore are not dependable source of irrigation. Thirdly, due to large area coverage and its shallow depth, huge quantity of stored water either evaporates or sinks underground without being used in the irrigation. Fourthly, tanks occupy a large fertile area which otherwise could have been utilized for growing crops. And lastly, the lifting of water from the tanks and bringing it to the fields is a strenuous and costly task. Drawbacks of conventional methods of irrigation. The conventional irrigation system suffers from a number of constraints leading to improper utilization of water. These are the following. First, in the conventional system of irrigation, a large quantity of water is not properly utilized. Secondly, crops are usually subjected to cyclic changes of flooding and water stress situations by providing heavy irrigation at one time and leaving the fields to dry up for about 10 to 15 days, which results in poor yields in the crops. Thirdly, the fields situated in low areas always get excess water, causing prolonged waterlogging. Thus, crops are subjected to waterlogging, resulting in poor yields. In the fields, about 10 to 15% of land is utilized for preparing channels and distribution, etc., which decreases effective areas of cultivation. And lastly, extensive areas of land in the arid and semi-arid regions of India are no longer used for cultivation due to accumulation of salts. Modern methods of irrigation. First, furrow irrigation. As the picture shows, it is a type of flood irrigation in which the water poured on the field is directed to flow through narrow channels dug between the rows of crops instead of evenly distributing the water throughout the whole field. The furrows must have equal dimensions in order to guarantee that the water is distributed evenly. Second, we have spray irrigation. In spray irrigation systems, a long hose is set to a water source on one side, and on the other side the water is released through spray guns in the fields. The spray irrigation is expensive as it requires complex machinery but utilizes water more effectively, reducing the amount of water needed to irrigate a field. Next, we have drip irrigation. This system consists of perforated pipes that are placed between rows of crops or buried along their root lines and give water directly on the crops. Again, the things are clear in the picture. As a result, evaporation is drastically reduced and the irrigation water is conserved. Lastly, we have sprinkle irrigation. Very similar to spray irrigation, in this method of irrigation, a pipe fitted with a nozzle on the top is used through which water is sprayed directly to the required plants. Now, what are the advantages of sprinkle irrigation? There is no loss of water by seepage and there is no loss of water by evaporation. But the disadvantages of sprinkle irrigation are: it is an expensive method of irrigation, it is helpful for a small land area, and lastly, it is used for crops which require less water. Children, hopefully you must have understood the lesson. So please note down the queries, whatever they are, so that we can discuss whenever we meet again for the class. Thank you.